Right, we're just going to talk about Milton patterns and meta model. We've got cafes on the internet, so it might freeze a bit, but I'm filming it anyway, so you can catch up on this later on. So we're going to talk about Milton patterns and meta model. The way I've done is I've drawn this tree, like so, and I'm going to try and get into perspective how Milton patterns and meta model works. So you imagine at the base of this tree, at the bottom here, is the root causes of all problems, especially gestalts, yeah, where negative emotions will lay. Meta model is used to chunk down to get to root cause problems. Milton model is used to chunk up to the highest purpose. So as a human being, imagine you as the tree, your highest purpose is all the tree lives, and at the bottom, all the where your feet are all the turds and all the shit and all the bad things that go on in life. And what we want to do is get to the highest purpose. But before we get to the highest purpose, we want to get to root cause problems first. So we use the meta model, which was designed by Virginia Satir, who was a family psychologist and one of the former, what Bandler and Grindler used, one of the models to make NLP as good as it is today. So meta model language, meta meaning the Greek word of greater than, the language is designed to chunk down to the root cause. And we use words like, what specifically, what's the problem? What specifically about that problem? Be more specific. So my car's broken down. What specifically about your car's broken down? Oh, it's in the engine. What specifically? Oh, it's in the carburetor. What specifically in the carburetor? Oh, in the foo-foo valve. What specifically? Oh, the foo-foo valve. How does that make you feel? Oh, pissed off because my car's broken down. So we've got down from the car, which might have been a 4-Cortina, right down to the foo-foo valve in the carburetor. Yeah, by using what specifically. Started off with what's the problem, and it went down to it's the foo-foo valve, and that pisses me off. Great, so we've got negative emotion around that. So does that make sense, how we chunk down? Now most people are only about 3 or 4 questions around. We never ever use chunking down unless we've got time. Most of the time, if we're working with someone and it's quickly, you know, say on the phone and you're just chatting with them, and you want to use the chunk up method, the chunk up Milton model pattern, to get them into a better place, because you say you haven't got time. So meta model is used if you've got time. Say I'm doing a change session of 2 hours. I've got 2 hours with someone. I want to chunk them down to the root cause, get to the root cause, and then I'm going to do HMS therapy to reprogram the negative behaviour that's there. If I haven't got time, then I use the Milton pattern, designed by Dr. Milton Erickson, who was the hypnotherapist, who also NLP is based a lot of, with Bandler and Grindler, based a lot of what Milton Erickson done during the 50s, 60s and 70s. Milton model was a way of using language to get someone to a higher purpose. So the type of questions I would use with Milton patterns is, what's the problem to start off with? How does that problem serve you? What is the highest intention of that problem? What does that problem do for you? Things like that. And they go, what do you mean, what does it do for you? And I go, well, I'm angry. What's the highest intention of being angry? Well, I'm pissed off. For what purpose are you pissed off? Because my wife's left me. Okay, for what purpose are you pissed off? Your wife's left you. Because I love her. So straight away, I've got to love. Yeah? Straight away, I've got to the highest intention. That's right, you love her. So I've chunked him up to something that's about love. So love should be the highest purpose, or happiness. Now if I've given you an example now with meta model, say I've got time, I'm working with someone, I go, right, what's the problem? Oh, it's relationships. What specific relationships? My wife's left me. What specifically? Well, I feel really sad because she's left me. So straight away, I'm at a negative emotion. So I don't really need to ask, how does that make you feel? Because I know he's feeling sadness around that. So the first thing I do is go straight into an intervention and do HMS therapy in the context. The gestalt would be relationships. And I'd start off with sadness, because he's got the emotion running. Yeah? So Milton model is to chunk him up, and meta model is to chunk down. Does that make sense? So this is the 2 models you'll only ever use to basically get to a... But when I'm working with someone, once I've got the emotion, once I've got the context, the gestalt I'm working in, I'm straight in with the HMS therapy. Let's get it resolved, let's get it changed. I'm working with someone on the phone, and I use the Milton model. The best Milton model you've got is the change intervention, which is a form of Milton model, which we did a demonstration of it earlier, and I'll get that video off to Kath later. So is there any questions?